Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out Full Moon by Dreamcatcher, and there is a dance performance for this. It's not quite a dance practice, though I think there is one of those too, but more of a performance video that is kind of like a dance practice, but with some more camera movements and things like that. But it has the lyrics translated for me on it, and usually I'm okay with these. I might get a little bit distracted by the dancing, I'm not gonna lie, because I do love dancing, so we're gonna see how this turns out. But I've heard that this is a pretty special song, and to not skip over it before getting to the rest of my kind of chronological journey through Dreamcatcher's discography and things like that. So I'm very excited to get into this, to see some dancing, to hear a new Dreamcatcher song. It's always a very exciting time. So let's get into the performance video. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. Ooh. Almost sounds like an organ. Oh, I love the piano that was playing at the beginning. Like I said, it almost sounded like an organ, which makes me think of both like big orchestra music, but also a lot of time it's in like church music, gospel music, that kind of a thing, which I think is a really interesting connection to make, as it being obviously a song that is between Insomnia and Dreamcatcher, as kind of this, I don't know, like reverence for each other, but also like comfort, right? A lot of people kind of take it from both sides. People say that their belief systems are comforted for them because it's a way of like finding solace, and you hear about people praying and things in times of hardship because they want that comfort. But then I also think of like, maybe this is just me, but like orchestral music is very like soothing in a lot of ways, though there are some intense orchestral music, but it is seen as kind of soothing and has this feeling of like big band music kind of being a way of letting music soothe you and ground you and things like that. So I like those connections so far. I love starting with Gio because, you know, the leader, the oldest, but also she just has those nice soft vocals, so it's just like a nice lead in to everything that's happening. I liked when they all held hands and walked forward together. Some good like symbolism in the choreography as well. So I like little partner work. Okay, I love the buildup that's happening. I loved the like little partner work that was happening where they were like teaming up and stuff. Like I couldn't sleep through the night is an interesting lyric too, especially with all the dream energy, the dream imagery that they have in their songs, where, you know, you have this kind of seductive feeling to their songs early on of like, you know, kind of beckoning you into dreamland and things like that, into the nightmare, right? And then having this idea in their last album that was kind of with the prequel that happened, this idea of kind of waking up from that dream, moving on from that dream. And there's kind of two sides, I think, to that. Part of that was my interpretation of it being like a retelling of what happened before they became Dreamcatcher, but it could also be that they've progressed enough that they're kind of stepping away from some of the feelings that they had early on in being Dreamcatcher. So it's that feeling of like, I couldn't stay asleep because, you know, we were going through this journey together. Yeah. Like sleeping was staying away from them. I like that movement too. Oh, good note. Oh, I love that arrangement to have Shia coming through with obviously her beautiful, powerful vocals and hitting that higher note, and then you have Dami coming in with her lower tone. Like the contrast of those, I love that. Again, the light and the dark that they're constantly playing with their music, and that idea of, moonlight, right? And like full moon is usually a whole other imagery of like the nighttime and like not being able to sleep, like you're awake in the night, maybe a little bit of insomnia, one might say, if we're adding on to all the imagery. But that idea of like the moonlight and the starlight being like lightness in the dark, right? Light and dark coming together in that moment. But there's also like this quietness to nighttime and like no one else is around, which I feel like is almost like this like secret world, right? Like before it was lots of like dream imagery of like escape into the nightmare, escape into dreamland and stuff like that. And it'll be like a place where Dreamcatcher and Insomnia come together. And then you also have this imagery of like, even when we're awake, it's at nighttime where not a lot of other people are around and there's this quiet, hushed feeling to that time. The like secrets like just of our own. I love that. It's almost like, inside jokes or like little things that only fans and their group know and understand and that kind of a thing. They're just, I'm glowing because I'm just like so excited by this song. I love the build-up that's happening. I'm excited for the drop. Oh, I like that chest movement too. Ooh, the little foot movement. Okay, they were throwing a lot at me with that one. I love how we have Yehyun coming through for that. She smiled and I kind of like got a little bit distracted, okay? I feel like this is like a moment of me like just getting to a point with Dreamcatcher songs where like I'm just like bubbly and giddy and excited to be here. Like I've come this far in my journey that like this is where I'm at, okay? If you're expecting any kind of like in-depth criticism, you're not gonna find it here anymore, okay? I have no skepticism going into these songs. I'm just here to have a good time and be probably too attached to people that do not know that I exist. But I love all the little moments in that, the way that they were switching between the singers, and it was almost like switching between like the main focus and other people. I've talked before about how I love their choreo, of how they're great at handing off the focus to the other members, even if they're not centered in the formation. I love the more upbeat feeling. It's very uplifting. There's this great energy to it without it being like kind of the dark, rockier sounds that some of their other songs have that are more upbeat, which I love. I love having that uplifting feeling of like, together we have that lightness and that energy with us. Oh, there's just so many things, like I can't pick it all out. I love that promise dance move too, it's cute. I don't know if this move was necessary, but it happened. I also love the image of like the blue sky, because usually blue is associated with, we say you're blue when you're like sad or you're down or that kind of a thing. You can kind of take it as that side of like, we'll be together in that moment of like, even when it's dark, even when it seems like you're alone, even when you're feeling down, we'll be together, so don't worry. But I think also blue is also a bit of a serene color, right? So it's associated with a lot of things that are more calming and soothing and things like that. Coming back to that kind of like soothing word of like, I feel like this whole song is just like finding like serenity together and finding that moment where it might not make sense to anybody else, but between Dreamcatcher and Insomnia, they're together and it makes sense, right? I love her softened voice there. Ooh, okay, I love there where we had Sua with a softer vocal and then Handang with far more closure in her voice. I feel like most of the time those are switched. We get Handang with more of like a breathy, softer tone, and then Sua comes through with a little bit more of a punch to her vocals. But I love that trade-off with those roles there, and like again, contrast between them, that light, breathy voice contrasted with the more closure that we got with even Gahyun and then Handang, right? So again, that lightness and darkness in all of the stuff that they're talking about. And even like, you know, in that moment, like I'm a star in the sky, right? Like even in those dark moments, there are those points of light that are lighting the way, guiding you, being kind of companions in that darkness. I love that the idea of like not running away from those darker moments or those quieter, more isolating moments, instead of it being like, don't go to those darker places. Darkness happens. You're going to get upset. You're going to have moments when you're not feeling bright and happy and smiling and going through your life with like the best kind of attitude and vibe to you. There's going to be moments where bad things happen. They happen to people that you care about. They happen to you, or you're just not feeling it that day. I think we all have nope days where we just do not want to do anything or interact with anyone. And instead of hiding from that darkness, the song is talking about, I'll be there. Like you're going to end up there and I'm going to end up there, but we'll be together. So it's okay. Like we'll work through it and we'll be each other's light. We'll be each other's star and moon and be there in those darker times. Yeah, I like how Gayoung kind of acts as a bridge between those two parts. More closure from Gio too, which I like. Okay, I need Dami to calm down. I need her to not call me baby. And I need her to not do whatever that dance move was while talking to me. Or a warning. I need a warning before. You know, she can't just like walk through and suddenly be the center of everything, okay? I'm gonna watch it again though, because I have to. Ooh, I like that move, almost like a bow and arrow. Gosh, the hair movements though. I love the guitars in that part where it was almost like a sustained note. It has like that suspense along with the song going into that bridge. I feel like I'm also just enjoying the fact that after going through the prequel album, where there were some people who just didn't have many lines in it, that I feel like I'm getting lots of moments in this, you know, like I'm getting certain members that weren't as prominent in those songs, and it makes my heart happy, okay? I like seeing them all together. I like getting to hear them all and seeing them dance, and it's a whole thing, okay? I won't even go through moments when I'm watching videos and they're not together, and I'm just like, this is unacceptable. You must be together. The way that guy strutted into place, though. Ooh, that pause. Okay, Dami, I need her to calm down. I need her to not like whisper at me and come out of nowhere, okay? I need a warning. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, it was the pause, that pause that happened. I love that pause that happened there, because it's almost like after all of that buildup and that energy, especially with Yehyun's vocals, which are always just like a lot of energy and power behind them, and then having that pause where it's almost like a breath right before we go into this quieter moment. It almost sounds like we have maybe some music box sounds again. We'll have to see. I got distracted. Yeah. Okay, I love the music box that we're happening. I feel bad for them doing floor work again because they're all in shorts. When do they get to wear pants? Or at least something that is going to offer more protection for this. But I love how they're constantly kind of coming back to certain sounds and certain motifs in their music sonically, and it kind of like builds onto itself. It's really interesting to me. I'm going back again, okay? Just don't judge me, okay? I just look, we all have certain parts of songs that we just need to hear again. Sleeping time. Say my name. It's her eyes too, like I love that kind of like mixed layers, almost like on an angle they had in the formation. God, when they like whip their whole body around with their hair, goodness. But I love the way that all the music came in again with that quieter moment, it's kind of like breath, and then all of it just came crashing in. Like, I love that. And I feel like that goes back to the whole image of finding yourself in this really like dark, lonely place of, you know, before they were like, you know, just like say my name, and then here it's like I won't let go of your hand, you know, as you're falling asleep, as like you're kind of going into this darker place where maybe you don't know if it'll be a dream or a nightmare and that kind of a thing. So having that quiet moment in the music and then that like crash of sound and energy and that uplifting sound is like they're here though. Like you suddenly realize that you're not alone in that place because there are, you know, well, there's specifically Dreamcatcher in this instance of like that is part of how you find comfort, but it's also I think more universal of like there's always something, right? And I say that as somebody who struggles with this a lot. You know, I've had depression forever, and the idea of feeling alone in those instances is, you know, something that can really tear you down and can make it feel worse than it is otherwise. And it's realizing that there's always something. There's always something that you can find comfort in. There's always something that can get you through to the next moment. And maybe that's Dreamcatcher, maybe that's watching their videos or listening to their music, or, you know, finding reactions and things like that. And maybe it's talking to people that you met through being a fan of the group. Maybe it's other groups and other music. Maybe it's TV shows or a pet or family or friends or whatever it may be. Maybe it's just like going for a walk. You know, it can be lots of things that you find comfort in that moment, and it can pull you out of that loneliness. And I think also when people have moments of depression or grief or sadness or whatever it might be, you kind of suddenly find yourself in those moments of comfort and feeling uplifted. It's like you don't really notice that it's happening. You're like, you get used to the kind of darker feelings that you're having, and then you suddenly realize that you're not having a dark moment. And it can be kind of jarring. So I like that they kind of mirrored some of that in the music. I kind of threw a bunch of examples out there, but that's what we do here, okay? We overanalyze things, and it's a fun time. I love that change of levels in the formation. More lyrics about drawing too. Ooh, we have red moonlight there. We had blue sky before, and now red moonlight. I think that's interesting of that contrast, right? Mostly because like red is more of a like vibrant, warm color in contrast to blue, but also they're very like different colors, right? They're not actually like complementary colors, but they're very jarring together, right? So I love having that contrast between like, you know, the blue sky, that cool color, kind of like darkness associated with it, and then the red moonlight kind of pulling through that cold darkness that's going on. I love that. I love ending with that like difference in the levels too. And I also love the idea of like a full moon too, right? Like the full power of that light shining through. Ugh, there's just so much. There's so many things that I loved in that, and I think part of that is just because I've like fully become immersed in the whole Dreamcatcher fan thing. And I think another part of it is just how comforting they're trying to be with the song, right? Like it's clearly a song for their fans and trying to convey to them that they'll be there, and like they said, like promised love, right? Like that idea of you might doubt, you might feel lonely, there might be moments where you feel isolated, but I'll always be there, we'll always have each other. And you know, the relationship that forms between performers and the people who support them. So I love kind of having that. And I guess like that's part of like the mood, right? Is like that's how the song makes me feel, because that's what they're trying to convey. It puts me in a good mood and it makes me feel, you know, like I am immersed in being part of their fandom and being a fan of the group, because that was their intention. And they have so many wonderful images in that, like continuing the kind of night imagery with like moons and stars and like points of light even in the darkness, even in that like isolation and quiet and things like that, and having those differences between dream, right? And I think it's really interesting with all of the nightmare imagery that has been going on with the storyline and kind of the series of albums that they've had, where nightmare has kind of been where they've been kind of coaxing people to, and where insomnia and Dreamcatcher have been kind of existing, right, in the nightmare. And then this talking about being awake and not being able to sleep, and them kind of bringing you back into the dream, right? It's that idea of not being able to escape into that, and kind of I get this image of like wandering around at night, wishing that you could go back to a place that felt, you know, like a dream, felt safe, felt like you had people there, and them talking about like, you know, I'll be there to hold your hand while you fall asleep and that kind of a thing. So lots of little things. I love how they've taken the whole dream imagery of like Dreamcatcher of their name and just continue to like add onto it and just kind of push it. I feel like it could swing into almost like gimmicky, but because they have such a great balance between the storytelling and the imagery and the way that they're adding into it and finding new ways to play off of it, I just think is so cool to me, especially with Dreamcatcher being, you know, something that catches dreams, catches nightmares, you know, that kind of a thing, kind of stores them up, and that kind of a thing, that there's so much potential with that. And yeah, I feel like there's so many things that I could just like go back. If I rewatched it, I would have so many other things that I would pull from it and that kind of a thing. But I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this playlist to go see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you miss next time I post a Dreamcatcher reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!